Welcome to our home, the Milky Way. Our sun is just one of a few 100 billion stars in this galaxy. Feeling small and insignificant yet? Now think of not just one, but billions and billions of galaxies. And you have the universe. But how big is the universe? It's impossible to measure it in terms of miles. The numbers would be meaningless. Instead, distances in space are measured in light years. That's the distance light travels in 1 year. And the speed light travels is about 186,000 miles per second. Try working that out on a calculator. To save you the trouble, 1 light year is a distance of nearly 6 trillion miles. Light takes 100,000 years just to cross our galaxy. That means every time we look up at the stars, we are looking back in time. It takes millions and millions of years for light to reach us from other galaxies. And light from the farthest regions of the universe takes billions of years. What we are seeing are events that occurred before the Earth even existed, when the universe was in its infancy. So with such an immense piece of real estate, it's no surprise to learn that there are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on every beach and desert on planet Earth. So what are the chances of us being the only kids on the block?
It would be bizarre if we're the only ones.
Are we alone? No.
After thousands of years thinking that we are unique, scientists are making some astonishing discoveries here on Earth, in our solar system, and in deep space. Some scientists now believe that we are just a few years away from our first contact.
We'll know we're not alone between the year 2020 and the year 2025. This will be one of the biggest, if not the biggest story of all time.
And what will he or she look like? Will they even be a he or a she? Or could we have already had a close encounter of the third kind? Some people believe that aliens have visited us in the past. If they do contact us, one of the greatest scientific minds of all time has a dire warning for the human race. Professor Stephen Hawking may be suffering from motor neuron disease, but he holds the Lucasian Chair at Cambridge University, a post once held by Isaac Newton. When Stephen Hawking speaks, the scientific world listens.
The history of advanced races, meaning more primitive people on this planet, is not very happy, and they were the same species. I think it would be a disaster.
Many scientists accept that Hawking's gut feeling is a valid scenario. But human nature is to be inquisitive. It's highly unlikely we'd turn down the opportunity of making contact with an alien race, no matter how dangerous it could prove to be. And today, the thought of life on another planet is no longer just the stuff of pulp novels and Hollywood fantasy. For some of the best minds in astronomy, it's starting to look like a near certainty. Naked Science asks why scientists are now so confident that we are not alone. In all of human history, we had never seen a planet beyond the 9 in our own solar system, a tiny part of this vast universe. But in 1995, the discovery of a planet some 40 light years from Earth, 51 Peg B, rocked the scientific world. Another planet, another solar system, another neighborhood in the vastness of space. Since that day, rapidly advancing telescopes and computers have discovered more than 100 other planets. And we know we have only begun to scratch the surface. The universe is huge beyond our ability to comprehend it. But with our new search tools, we can see more of the objects and activity within it. There are almost certainly millions of other planets out there. Naked Science travels to the Lick Observatory to meet Deborah Fisher from San Francisco State University. She's one of a new breed of scientist, a planet hunter. Thanks to Fisher and a few other astronomers in this field, we now know of over 130 planets outside our solar system.
I find it incredibly humbling to now realize that our sun is really quite common, has a system of planets like other stars have. A lot of people would like to think that we're very special and unique, but I think it's very natural and comforting that this is the way the universe is made.
But how do you discover planets light years away from Earth? Deborah Fisher monitors distant stars, watching their motion. If there is a planet orbiting a star, it will exert a slight gravitational pull on the star. Fisher can measure that gravitational wobble billions of miles away, down to a few feet per second. An amazing achievement. But the planets she's finding are all giant planets, more like our own Saturn. For life to exist, a planet has to match a tough set of criteria. From studying our solar system, scientists suggest that small rocky planets offer the best chances for life as we know it. Chemicals, the building blocks of life, need something to grip onto, and a solid surface allows that to happen. A planet has to be the right size, too. Much smaller than the size of the Earth, its gravity won't be strong enough to preserve the atmosphere. It would just escape into space. It's not just size. Equally important is location. A planet has to be near enough its sun for liquid water to exist. As far as we know, liquid water is essential for every form of life. Too near the sun, like Venus, where the surface temperature is a broiling 864 degrees Fahrenheit, the water would just boil away. Too far away, and water freezes. But on Earth, liquid water is everywhere. More than 2/3 of the surface is covered with it.
We want to find planets that might harbor life. We want to find planets that are at a distance from the star, where it's not so hot that water is vaporized, not so cold that water is just locked up in ice, but just right, the Goldilocks zone, where water exists in puddles.
And in June 2004, European scientists found the smallest planet yet outside our solar system. It's just 14 times the size of Earth, and may have a rocky surface, a kind of super-Earth. And where you have a rocky surface, there might be liquid water. Scientists think that this is the largest a rocky planet can be. Any bigger, and it would collapse. It's 50 light years away in the southern constellation Altair. It's one of 3 planets orbiting around a sun much like ours. But the discovery of smaller Earth-sized planets will require a leap of technology, and it's already being built. The space telescope, the Kepler Observatory, is expected to launch in 2007. The mission will survey thousands of our nearest stars. When a planet crosses between a star and the telescope, the size of the planet can be determined by measuring the amount of starlight it blocks. Scientists are optimistic they'll find at least 50 Earth-sized planets within 10 years of the Kepler telescope's launch. There is one group of scientists who've been looking for signs of alien life for over 20 years. We next travel to the SETI Institute in California, the birthplace of alien hunting. SETI is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and this is where some of the best minds in the world are engaged in a complex, sophisticated, long-term endeavor. We meet Seth Shostak, the Institute's senior astronomer. He's dedicated most of his professional life to searching for alien intelligence.
My personal interest, of course, in SETI, I think that goes back to my childhood. I can remember when I was 10 years old buying these books about flying saucers.
Shostak and his colleagues are searching for aliens by listening to the radio. It may seem basic, but radio is a powerful source of communication. Radio signals are energy waves, radiating out in every direction. As well as reaching your radio and TV sets, the signals also leak into space, and they have been doing that for the last 70 to 100 years.
I have a dream today.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The Lucy Show.
Oh, you must think I'm a perfect idiot.
Let's just hope our programs haven't put off any listening aliens. These radio waves are traveling outwards at the speed of light. It takes just over a second for a signal to reach the moon from Earth. Sounds fast, but given the interstellar distances involved, even the speed of light ends up seeming like snail mail. If we receive a message from the other side of our galaxy tomorrow, it would have been sent 100,000 years ago. That long ago on Earth, some early ancestors of ours were taking their first steps. 100,000 years later, we've at last become advanced enough to listen out for a message from the stars. But where is the best place to try? The answer? Arecibo in Puerto Rico, home to one of the world's largest radio telescopes. The Arecibo dish sits in a giant natural crater. It's a monumental 1,000 feet in diameter. This dish is so sensitive, it could pick up a cell phone as far away as Jupiter. Since 1997, Arecibo has been home to Project Phoenix, the SETI Institute scan of about 1,000 stars similar to our Sun within 200 light years of Earth. That's the cosmic equivalent of just looking in your backyard. But the search has to start somewhere. Millions of radio channels are scanned simultaneously. The universe is alive with radio noise, a sort of galactic white noise. But these signals, dramatic as they may be, are random natural events. SETI's electronic ears are tuned to hear signals made on purpose, signals that indicate life, something that stands out. A voice calling out through the background chaos of space.
It would be a constant tone or a slowly varying tone, sort of like a flute tone, a very pure tone actually, in a sea of noise. I guess you could say it would be like playing a flute note while standing next to a waterfall.
Naturally occurring signals are spread across a broad part of the spectrum. But an artificial transmission like a TV picture or radio broadcast is squeezed into a tiny part of the radio dial, a narrow band signal.
We're just looking for the kind of signal that would tell us that somebody has built a transmitter. We're just looking for the evidence that their transmitter is on.
After 40 years of listening out for a message, we've heard nothing. But this kind of search could take years. At the moment, we're just taking our first tentative steps. But is there anything else we can do? Naked Science next looks at a new form of interstellar communication. A light so bright, it burns 1,000,000 times brighter than our Sun. We've learned that our galaxy is just one of billions in the universe. Scientists are now discovering new planets and solar systems. But so far, we've been waiting patiently for a message. If there are any aliens out there, it seems they've maintained radio silence. But maybe they're trying to contact us some other way. Naked Science next travels to Berkeley in California, Wحدنا telescope, to meet Dan Wertheimer, an alien hunter for the last 25 years.
There are 200 billion stars in our Milky Way galaxy and billions of galaxies, so it would be bizarre if we're the only ones.
He's not listening. He's looking for a sign in the sky.
Yeah.
Wertheimer